I can't fully say that this was an unaffordable loss. I can't fully say that because a lot of things can still happen.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Y'all, the camera's not frozen. The audio's not messed up. Just gotta sit here for a moment. Just gotta sit. Just gotta wallow. Just for a bit. Not forever, just for a bit. Damn, this was a disappointing ass weekend for K-State fans. It just there's always a weekend. There's always a stretch of days to where you hope. That's you hope your team wins. You hope all your teams win. You hope it goes well. Hope it goes swell, smooth, silk, all that. That wasn't the case this time around. No, it wasn't. But first and foremost, welcome back to another episode of Run It Back here on the KCSN. I'm your host, Jazsmin Halliburton. As we continue, damn disappointing game against number 18 West Virginia, who I mentioned last. So Press Virginia. If you don't know, now you know. The team that has forced damn near 100 more turnovers than any other team in the Big 12. They came in this game forcing 366 turnovers on the season, heading into this game against K-State, which was lost by by 13. We lost 70-57. And I can't fully say that this was an unaffordable loss. I can't fully say that because a lot of things can still happen. But it's cheeks. I understand something had to give in this game. West Virginia was I think 14 or 15-0 at home this season. They're undefeated. K-State averages 81 points a game. So a lot of teams that West Virginia faces, they average a lot of points per game. But for some reason, when you play against Press Virginia, they are your off night. They are your off night. And we saw that. We saw that in this game. These are the top two defenses in the Big 12. The West Virginia, obviously, number one. K-State, number two. I figured this was going to be a low-scoring game. I'd thought that both would be held well below their average. No, just one team. West Virginia offensively, not too crazy. Average 77 points a game. They got to 70 in this one, but K-State, who averages about 81 points per game, 57 points this time around. West Virginia forces 15 turnovers a game. They got 21 in this one. And watching the broadcast in this game, a nationally televised game on Fox at 1:00 on President's Day, in front of people who are given the ability to watch. Not saying this is a bad thing. Coach Mitty said that a chance for K-State to have a chance to win this game, it have to be held underneath 20 turnovers, just because that's just how good West Virginia is defensively. So it was not a good matchup for the team that was on the floor, K-State wise. If you get under 20 turnovers in this game, you had a better chance of winning. K-State had 21. I don't necessarily think one or two less turnovers would have mattered. It's just they were in a position that West Virginia defense that made K-State uncomfortable. That's what they're supposed to do. That's their defense. That's their game plan. That's literally their bread and butter. That's every other team's problem child, right? But it's just the thought that all that pressure that they've given you, even when you know you have what looks like an easy lay or a wide open shot, or you thought you had more time or less time than you initially thought. That's what this West Virginia defense was able to force on K-State. It was an uncomfortable offense. Always is when you play West Virginia. A lot of teams can attest to that. But 21 turnovers, 12 assists. That's a number for your ass considering the team that K-State is, right? K-State shot 25% from 3. And I think there's 3 Big 12 losses when they shoot below 26% from 3. That's why they lose. Over 41%. They win. When it's that low of a margin for 3-point shots, they lose. You've seen it before. We've heard the saying, live by the 3, die by the 3. K-State was 5-20 in this game. Now, first quarter especially, shots were going in, 3-point shots were going in. Cool, that's smooth. But as I was watching this game, not much of a paint presence. It's normally like paint presence by committee. Essentially, you're not going to have that one dominant force like you would if Yoki was in there. But now we've seen the past couple games that she's been out. We've seen what they've been able to do and to adjust to be able to get in the paint. And that's been a collective effort, right? It's been a collective effort. But when you know that even though you had the size against this West Virginia team, they didn't give you the space to do that. They did not give you the space to do that. One thing helps the other. Getting in the paint will help your 3-point shot. You sink the 3-point shot, that'll give you some space to get to the paint. Everything is cohesive, right? Everything is cohesive. But those 3-point shots, they were going in early. Yes, that's nice. That's fine and dandy. Or look like they're about to go in early. You had a wide open shots. But watching this game, considering the type of pressure that West Virginia is able to give you, I asked the question by mid second quarter, all the way into halftime, is this not sustainable? Is this sustainable? It felt like it wasn't, because obviously things go well when shots go in. Of course, everybody a kindergartner would know that. But when you have this type of pressure, when you can't do anything in the paint, when your passing lanes, you gotta be a tick faster than what you normally are to be able to swing the ball and always have that extra pass when that extra pass is going to close down so much quickly because how much West Virginia just jumps the passing lane. You got to figure out, you got to either make your own shot or you got to suffer the consequences and probably turn that ball over. That's not going to be sustainable, especially now when you're not going to be able to sink any shots. That's what this was. I talked about how West Virginia was able to speed up K-State on the offensive side of the ball. It looked like we were able to match speed for speed. These are both high-paced offenses. They want to play fast. But problem is, this West Virginia team was just faster. They are quick. They're smaller, but damn it, that's why they're so damn quick. You can't make certain passes against West Virginia like you can with Cincinnati or Houston or KU. Not talking any sort of crap on those teams, but you know who you're facing, right? You know who you're facing. West Virginia, excuse my French, but they were on that ass. They were. Like I said, this is something that's not unusual for any team that faces them. Like, it didn't all these turnovers that happen. Of course, majority seem like live ball turnovers. And then the ones that weren't live ball turnovers wasn't necessarily, effort plays or just, had the rebound and it slipped out of hand, this, that, and third. It wasn't things like that. I know there was one moment, I think it was in the first half, I think like middle or late second quarter. Tamara Poindexter, she had the ball. She was going up the floor, past half court. She looked like she was going to pass it real quick, but then West Virginia player jumped the lane and she ended up traveling. And it was like an obvious travel, like not talking anything bad on Tamara Poindexter, but that's just what this West Virginia team does defensively for you. They speed you up. You're speeding up an already fast team. Think about that. The pace is immaculate when K-State has the ball in their games. They play at a really high pace, and that's why they're able to do so many things well against so many different teams. But now you face a team that plays faster than you. You see, that can be a little bit of an issue, right? A little bit of an issue. Now, I know I've been all over at this point because, damn it, there was a lot in this game. There was a lot. The things you just do focus on the most is those turnovers. I think West Virginia scored 27 points. 27 points on 21 turnovers. This was a 13-point loss, guys. The margin is nearly double on the amount of points off of turnovers. K-State had, I think they forced 12 turnovers, I want to say, against West Virginia. Yeah, they forced 12 turnovers. That's a damn margin in itself, and they got 14 points off of those. West Virginia got 27 points. 27 points. Turnovers alone. Off turnovers alone. Sometimes that's more than what some teams had in the half against us. Let that moment just sink in. And it's just not that K-State did anything like bad. Some things are just like, West Virginia is just that good. And honestly, last episode, I wish I could have done a little bit more of a deeper dive into this West Virginia team and how much pressure they're able to put on people. That's on me. I won't make that mistake again. But this is something that you knew what was going to happen facing this team. Now, I can't say that you knew that that K-State was going to lose by 13. They could have won. There's a lot of things that could have happened, but something that was for damn sure and for damn certain, K-State was going to turn that ball over. They were going to turn that ball over. But that's part of that. That's part of that, right? And I know we got a lot more to get to in this game. It's just been that one game since I last spoke to you guys, right? But before I deep dive into other things in that game and what was missing, what would have helped, not saying I'm a coach or anything. Obviously, I'm going to say Yoki would have helped. Nope. Obviously, right? But I'll get into all that in the next half. But before I do, you got to shout out to homefieldapparel.com. They have all the shirts. They have all the hoodies, the hat, anything your K-State heart desires, they do have. And they got a whole bunch of other stuff too. A little bit of vintage, a little vintage swag, even swag from other schools. If that's your vibe, that's your vibe. You can go ahead and go to homefieldapparel.com. And we'll be right back on Run It Back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
All right, welcome back. So we're going to do a little bit more into this game against West Virginia that K-State lost against number 18 ranked West Virginia. This was a ranked road matchup in the Big 12. We all know that could always go either way, right? And that's never going to be the easiest situation. Now, I talked about the turnovers and everything, and I mentioned this briefly before in that first half of the show, how this was just a bad matchup for the team that was on the floor for K-State. Not saying that they weren't, capable. I mean, K-State was able to, get it within 10 at the start of the fourth quarter, and that's when things kind of just went awry. JJ Quinterly being JJ Quinterly, she got, 26 points in this game, I think. Like, West Virginia's leading scorer. It's what happens, right? But the matchup wasn't the greatest for the team that was currently on the floor, right? Just the quickness of their guards, how their big was just able to dominate in the paint. It's one of the few games to where Yoki was an obvious miss, right? I mean, you miss her in every game. Like, let's not get that twisted, right? She's the most important player to this team. She is. K-State has done an incredible job without her so far at this point of the season, right? You compare notes to last season and this season when Yoki was hurt, right? Miles better. But this is truly one of those games where I think Yoki's absence really, really hurt. Now, how I mentioned before, how having some pressure in the paint or some success in the paint is going to help your three-point shooting. We know how good of a three-point shooting team this is, right? I think, third in the Big 12, I want to say, in three-point makes per game. They average damn near 9 threes a game made. They're really good team. You have 3 players who shoot over 40-something% from the field from 3, right? You know what you got, and what you got is damn good, okay? And that helps a lot when you're able to score in the paint. Like I said before, normally the scoring in the paint has been by committee. That committee just did not have that opportunity yesterday against West Virginia. And Yoki, who's supposed to be making her comeback this weekend in the Sunflower Showdown against KU, I think that's senior night. Let me double check before I steer you wrong before I keep going. See, no, that is not senior night because, yeah, the game after that, senior night, because against Baylor. Okay, but either way, she's coming back. She's coming back Saturday, February 22nd. Games at 4 p.m. ESPN Plus, Sunflower Showdown Part 2. That's when she's making her comeback, right? She's doing really well in practice from what Coach Mitty has said. And I was hearing Brian Smoller, shout out to Brian. I heard him speaking last game against UCF that there's not possibility per se, but the fact that Yoki could have possibly played against West Virginia. She did not have the boot on against UCF. She could have played against West Virginia. That's conspiracy, I guess, at the moment. She could have, like, that maybe she could have played, but this would have been a really bad game to be her first game back, just because of the pace of this game. K-State was matching that pace early. It was quick. I think like the first media timeout came with like 1 minute into the first quarter. I think that's what people were telling me. I was kind of trapped in the overtime game against Iowa and Ohio State, so I couldn't really see that part into the game, just how fast paced it was moving, because I didn't think that was a long time. But either way, that would have been a horrible game for her to come back in, just because of the pace, the size that West Virginia has, because they're smaller, they're quicker, and the defense that K-State has been playing in the absence of Yoki, it's changed. Anyone who's like truly pay attention, or what I've been saying these past several weeks, right? How they're doubling a little bit more with their bigs. We saw how that didn't necessarily work too well against West Virginia because they're too fast, and that led to some fouls. Like 20 feet from the basket, and you hate to see that, right? It wouldn't have been a great position for her to be in. You really had to trust your 1v1 matchups. That's what I was saying. Like, these players got to really trust their 1v1 matchups, because West Virginia was doing a really good job at swinging the ball and finding the open man. They're not the greatest three-point shooting team, but they were able to sink 8 of those. I think JJ Quinterly has a big reason for that. I think she had maybe 3 or 4 made threes in that game. She had 4. She had half of their 3-point makes. A lot of that came from swinging the ball, and she was open. And a lot of other people had some chances as well, such as Jordan Harrison, right? She made 2. And situations like that, to where if you didn't have to double in the paint like K-State has been doing, like they did in this game, like they did in every single game since Yoki's absence, it's the game plan's known. The game plan's known. So this would have been probably a fair. I don't know how different this game would have shaken out if Yoki was healthy, say, a game before. Turnovers probably would have still been there. Let's be real, but the chance K-State had, especially with that defensive pressure, it would have been a lot better. It would have been a lot better. But this was one of those games to where I'm like, damn, Yoki, a healthy Yoki, not first game back Yoki, would have been very, very helpful in this game. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta look behind. But the reason that this game was also so upsetting, besides every reason I mentioned before, is that after that TCU game, the TCU win in Manhattan, K-State was essentially in the driver's seat. They were in the driver's seat for the Big 12. Obviously, the Big 12 was not won just because of a K-State win over TCU, right? That's not the case. They ended up dropping the next game against Oklahoma State. You win the next couple games, or you win the next game, and then you drop this game against West Virginia. Now, K-State's a game behind first. They're a game behind first right now. TCU and Baylor are both at 12-2. K-State's at 12-3. TCU and Baylor. Now we got to hope, gotta hope that K-State wins out first and foremost. And that TCU and Baylor, they both at the very least drop a game. They still have games to play. I don't want to say tonight. They both play tomorrow. And the teams that they play, it's not very likely that they'll lose. TCU plays Arizona State in Arizona. Baylor plays Colorado at Boulder. Now, we understand we did lose to Colorado, but I feel like K-State would have a better opportunity to have a better game against them if they were to play them again. But considering the caliber of TCU and considering the caliber of Baylor, both ranked teams, both very, very good, they're probably going to win. They're probably going to win these games. It would be cool if one of those two teams would upset them. That'd be great. But I don't see it. And now you look at the schedule, start with TCU. They have West Virginia coming up after Arizona State. That's going to be in Fort Worth. So that's already, if it was in Morgantown, I'd be a little bit more confident. But you never know. We saw this West Virginia team and what they're able to do. They're making you uncomfortable. I do believe that this is a game that Sonoma Prince is probably going to have opportunity to eat in. But you never really know what the pressure that West Virginia can have, right? They're, like I said, they're called Press Virginia for a reason. But TCU, Arizona State, West Virginia, Houston, and then Baylor for their last game of the season in Waco. So the two teams that we need to lose, at the very least one, they're going to play each other. So one of them's going to win one. Or one of them's going to lose one. One of them's going to win one, at least at that point in the season. Baylor, let's look at their schedule, who they have next. Now, they have Colorado that's going to be up on Wednesday. Then they have Iowa State. Iowa State's, we know about them. They're also trending in the right direction. They're a very good team as well. Then K-State plays them. And then they play TCU, right? K-State played themselves out of being in control. I hate to say that. I hate that it's true, but it is. They no longer have their own fate's control because now you're hoping for other teams to lose. And normally when that happens, that sometimes destiny doesn't shake out that way. It really doesn't. You always want to control your own fate. That's what we hear all the damn time when we're talking about sports, right? You gotta hope for the best. And I hate for a season to be, I can't say wasted because it's still just a regular season. You still have Big 12 tournament. You still have the tournament, the NCAA tournament. But, I mean, K-State does not win the regular season. And I know K-State's the better team. They are the better team, but history won't see it that way. That's what sucks. That's what I mean. The regular season would have felt like a bit of a waste. You've been so dominant for the entire season. You've beaten TCU, who was right there with you, and then you lose to teams that are still good. Don't get it twisted, but you know that you could beat. Not saying it would be an easy win, but lost to teams that you know you could probably beat, right? But if a banner 2024-2025 Big 12 championship banner is not hanging up, it just seems like, damn, the better team did not win. You know, you could argue with me on that if you want to, or you can argue with your mama. But that would be my thought process on it. The history would show that the better team did not win, but no one's going to care because they're going to show that team won the Big 12. That team is going to be the best team, which as it should, that's it always normally is. But when you see the details, proof in the pudding, when your name is not up there, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. And I can't say it's done. I can't I really can't. You never know how things are going to go. Both teams still have to play, at the very least, two very tough teams, with Baylor having to play Iowa and K-State and TCU. So of those right there, might as well throw us in there. And then obviously TCU having a tough game against West Virginia and Baylor. And the opportunity is there. K-State just got to continue to handle business. When Yoki comes back, don't know how things are going to change. We thought things would be all nice and smooth the last time she came back, but things are a little bit different now. Time's only going to tell. Time's only going to tell. I'm going to be anxious until it tells me what's up. But that's what we got to do. So all we can do now is wipe our hands from it. Look forward to Yoki's return. Okay, in Bram, Saturday, 4 p.m., Sunflower Showdown. That's what we got to look forward to, right? Just gotta wait and see. But until then, I'm gonna say goodbye to y'all. Thank you for listening to my rants. I appreciate you, and I will see y'all next week.